What you doing? Oh. Good morning, everybody.
I must have opened that back door hundreds of times, and hundreds of times Patina could have disappeared into the woods and never looked back. But every single morning, just a few minutes later, she'd come racing back, climb up my leg, crawl into the pocket of my shirt, curl into a tiny ball, and fall asleep. Like that was where she truly belonged. The part I've never been able to understand is I never tried to keep her
outside.
I only rescued Patina because I hoped that one day I'd be able to watch her return to the wild where she belonged. In the end, though, she was the one who made the choice. It all started with a phone call from a friend. She had found a baby squirrel after a cat had carried her away. When they finally got her back, she was covered in scratches, so tiny and so weak she could barely move. If they'd been just a little later, I don't think she would have survived. I brought Patina home right away. Honestly, I never imagined I'd end up raising a squirrel. My only goal was to help her recover, get strong again, and eventually release her back into the wild. I've always believed that wild animals are happiest when they're living the life they were meant to live. Those first few weeks were incredibly stressful. Patina was still so young that she had to be bottle-fed kitten formula. The funny thing was, she absolutely loved it. Every single feeding ended the same way, with a little white milk mustache spread across her tiny face. I'd wipe it clean, and just a few hours later she'd have another one, like nothing had happened. Maybe because I was the one feeding her, keeping her warm, and staying by her side every day, Patina slowly started seeing me as the safest place in her world. Whenever she heard my voice, she'd come running. The moment I sat down, she'd immediately start climbing onto me. It didn't take long before the pocket of my shirt became Patina's favorite place in the world. Anytime I was about to leave the house, she'd climb into it like it was the most natural thing ever. Sometimes I'd completely forget I was carrying a squirrel until a tiny little head suddenly popped out to look around at everyone nearby.
I put a deal on this one down.
Patina especially loved going for car rides. The second we got into the car, she'd find the warmest spot inside my shirt, curl up, and fall fast asleep. There were plenty of times we'd reach our destination and she still had no interest in waking up. We even took trips to the beach together. While everyone else was watching the waves, Patina was busy inspecting every shell, every piece of seaweed, and every little treasure the tide had washed ashore. To her, the whole world seemed filled with exciting things waiting to be discovered. One of my favorite things always made me laugh. Whenever Patina found an acorn or a walnut, she never buried it in the ground like other squirrels would. Instead, she'd hide it somewhere in my clothes, as if my body was the safest storage place she could possibly find. But I never forgot why I had rescued her in the first place. Patina was still a wild animal. As much as I loved her, I didn't want to selfishly keep her by my side forever. So every morning, I'd take her outside, letting her climb trees, run around, and practice all the skills she'd need if she was ever going to live on her own. As Patina grew older, I started trying to let her go. I'd set her down on the grass in the front yard. Within seconds, she'd run right back and climb up my leg. I tried again another day, placing her high on the trunk of a big tree. She'd happily explore for a few minutes, jumping from branch to branch. And then she'd climb back down, run straight toward me as if her little adventure was already over. The same thing happened day after day. Every morning I'd open the back door that led to the woods. Patina was completely free to leave. There was no cage, no leash. Nothing stopping her from disappearing into the trees forever. But every single morning, after a few minutes of exploring, she'd come right back and crawl into my shirt pocket.
Is she gonna come?
Clean.
Eventually, I realized I didn't need to keep pushing. It wasn't my decision to make. If one day Patina decided she wanted to live in the forest, I'd be happy for her. But if she chose to stay, then that choice had to be hers too. The thing I love most about Patina isn't just how adorable she is, it's the little moments. Sometimes I'd hold her in my hands, and she'd wrap both of her tiny paws around one of my fingers as tightly as she could. It felt just like getting a hug without a single word being spoken. Even today, the back door stays open. The woods are still right there, only a few steps away. Every morning, Patina has the chance to choose a completely free life. And the part that still gets me every time is every single morning, she makes the exact same choice. Patina didn't stay because I kept her. She stayed because someone reached out and saved her when she needed it most. Maybe animals don't understand gratitude the same way people do. But they never forget what it feels like to be loved. They never forget what it feels like to be safe. And sometimes that's all it takes for a little shirt pocket to become the place they choose to call home.
Birds wonder. Birds wonder. Birds wonder. Birds wonder.